As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, it is important that we recognize we must regularize, allow the position for regularization of land so that those members who find themselves in trouble can be given an opportunity to sort their issues, Honorable Speaker. For the case of Mavoko, I believe innocent.
Did you say you want 1 minute or 2 minutes? You'll be given 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. For the issue of Mavoko, they are innocent Kenyans, bona fide buyers who genuinely believed they acquired good title for those parcels of land. And I believe, Honorable Speaker, in that case, it is the government, it is the land registry that was at fault, that guided those Kenyans, allowed them to build their lives there, and they must be compensated. This is not the time for politicking in this issue. And Honorable Speaker, I must state, we will not allow demolitions. Even in my constituency, Honorable Speaker, we have some similar orders, Honorable Speaker, and we must ensure that we are given a chance to regularize those parcels of land, because if we continue down this trend, Honorable Speaker, we are going to destroy the lives of Kenyans. We are going to lose a lot of wealth, Honorable Speaker, and this must come to an end. Let this government be held to account and keep its promise that these demolitions, which they said will end with the previous government, will be a thing of the past. Let them stick to that promise. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Esther Passaris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker,
the Honorable Member who keeps shouting point of order. You know the procedures of the House, how to seek intervention. It is not by shouting point of order. In fact, shouting point of order without seeking intervention, which must be recognized by the Speaker, is itself disorderly conduct and is punishable. Proceed, Honorable Passaris.
Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this motion. First of all, I would really like to say that as a country, as a government, we failed not just the people of Mavoko, but there's so many historical injustices in this country where houses have been demolished, even here in Nairobi, and we've never been able to find a solution. People pick their pieces, some lose their lives, some get sick with cancer or mental health, because when something so emotive like having yourself dragged out of your house with bulldozers, having all your property destroyed, having your children look at their lives crumbling down right before your eyes and seeing their parents looking totally helpless, that shows that we have failed. We have failed, and we continue to fail. So what would be the solution? We can give each other, we can blame each other, we can say it's this one or the other one, but at the end of the day, we are all Kenyans. We fought for independence. We got rid of the colonizers. We took possession of our land. We didn't take possession of our land for certain people. We didn't take possession of our land to frustrate people, to harm people, to injure people, to economically destroy people, and including financial institutions. In this country, if you want a loan for your business, you go with your title. Today, banks are not really able to lend you money on titles because they don't trust your title. Now, what happened in Mavoko, I think, was actually a miscarriage of justice. What should have happened, and I really want to appeal to the Chief Justice, who is a mother and a woman, I think we need to stop making decisions in the courtroom when it comes to emotive matters like land, which involves a huge community, and actually take the courts to the grassroots. Take the courts and have an open court. Nothing stops them to go into the grassroots and actually see what is happening. Because when they make these decisions in the courts, right, some of the decisions that they make in the courts, like now we have a decision which will affect and impact a number of households in Nairobi. And the residents of Nairobi and the Karima case have been given up to the 31st of December to move. What I want to ask is, why can't we have a multi-sectorial approach so that when you have matters of land which involve community, We bring, because the judiciary keeps telling us, let's go for alternative dispute mechanism. The judiciary itself can initiate that dispute, the arbitration and the alternative dispute mechanism, and actually bring the Ministry of Lands, bring in the police, bring in the community, bring in the judiciary, and together we look at how we can safeguard the dignity of the people that we are supposed to represent. The people in Mavoko, I understand where they're coming from when they say this was our land. We gave you the land to do business because you will bring some economic gain for our people. This land was sold to innocent Kenyans. The county government gave approvals for construction of houses. The services were provided by Kenya Power, provided by the Ministry of Water, titles were provided by the Ministry of Lands, and then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you say this land belongs to us. So I was thinking, with all those 4,000 acres of land that East African Portland has, surely couldn't they have actually figured out how to compensate the people, or to actually give these 200-300 acres of land and say, this is your land. We have actually survived and made profits out of this land. So we will give you this land. We will end this court battle, so that the people can actually live in peace. The land that is in Nairobi right now that we're talking about with the Karimas, I really would like the government to seriously look at the Dungu report. We came up with the task force. We came up with the Dungu report. This was supposed to cure the injustices that came up with land. And up to today, we've never implemented the Dungu report. So I want the government to have a humane face. As we're saying, we want to build houses for the people. We want to give dignity to the people. How do we give dignity to the people and the promise of dignity when today we erode that dignity by bulldozing houses and schools and churches? Even if those churches were built in land that was not theirs, how was that church built with a title? How was that church built with approvals? So all of us are culpable. And I think it's important, as a member of the Committee of Lands, we shall do what we can, but we need...
You need more minutes?
Mr. Speaker,
adjournment motions go
yes,
for 5 minutes,
yeah,
except with the leave of the House. And I assume the House is the Speaker. So you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is an item. The land issues are emotive, and we need a multi-sectorial approach. We need to get to the grassroots, and we need to stop actually harming our Kenyans. Our Kenyans need to be engaged in a manner that is dignified, because that is what the government has promised. And we are all part and parcel of that promise because we are part of the government. So we need to make sure, whether we're opposition or we're in government, that together we uphold the dignity of the people, because it's not enough to come and say we feel sorry for you, because the pain that they're feeling is continuing and is growing, and mental health is real. We're going to have a lot more challenges if we continue being so harsh and rough on the citizens of this country. So I pray that the President and the various cabinet, when they meet, they address this issue, because really business cannot actually thrive when the people of the community are actually being destroyed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Engineer Paul Nzengu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute into this debate. From the onset, I want to empathize and sympathize with the people of Mavoko constituency for that barbaric action that was taken upon them. It's a pity that a lot of people may have lost their lifetime earning through this act of carelessness. And Mr. Speaker, I want to condemn the whole act on the strongest words possible. And I also want to condemn a section of members who took it, who tried to trivialize the whole thing by associating the grabbing of the land so reported to be having been occasioned or orchestrated by the Wiper Brigade by claiming that the elections of 2022 were financed by the proceeds from the money that was purportedly obtained from this sale of land. I think this was a careless and a mockery. It was a careless statement and a mockery to the people that lost their monies, their earnings. Mr. Speaker, that two wrongs don't make a right. And assuming that there was a problem in that area where the titles were mixed up, or some authorities somewhere made a mistake, does not qualify the people that are affected to have been hurt in the manner that it was done to them. Mr. Speaker, we have examples of land where inadvertently people were misled into buying a land that was not in the right title, but later people were able to sit down, negotiate, and a case in point is a land opposite opposite Balore along Old Airport Road, where I know Kenyans were duped to buy land which had been apparently been issued by the government to the then Schl sympathizers, and the owner then resurfaced later, and I'm private to the information that indeed the owner was an Indian owner, a private owner, agreed to negotiate with the new landowners, and they were able to agree on a middle path or a middle ground where they negotiated for the true market price at that particular time, and they were able to pay the owner, and the owner vacated possession of that land. So in this particular case, where the land purportedly belongs to the government, the alternative would have been to negotiate with the landowners and the developers and just agree on a market price, and then I'll ask them to be able to buy the said land. Mr. Speaker, the idea of a government demolishing property of its own people, for whatever reason, is in itself scaring the investors, because the individuals don't issue titles. Titles are issued by government, and the government cannot recede on titles that they have issued themselves. So that, in that case, I want to say that this government is proving to be insensitive to the fact that when you own up and say that these titles that the government issued are not true titles, then an investor who wishes to invest in Kenya is definitely going to be scared, and therefore we are not going to be able to attract investors in this way. And lastly, Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Joshua Mwalio.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to say that I've been in this Committee of Trade where we have been dealing with this matter, and I don't want to go into the details because I know the details. I want to say that it could have been better if the people that houses were being demolished could have been treated like the way Abraham was pleading with the angels that that were going to destroy Gomorrah. And Abraham was saying, if you find 20 people, will you destroy Sodom? That is what could have been asked as a question. So that he kept on saying what that God was kept on saying, I will not destroy. That is the formula that should have been used there, because those are Kenyans who live there, and they should have been spared because they were cheated on that land. So the people that cheated them, I saw one saying that I saw one video which was saying that if we give you this piece of land, you must build something, even if it's a toilet, very fast, so that we have a case. So in other words, the people who were innocent, they didn't know, but they were cheated. So what could have been happening is that sympathizing with them because they have spent money, because they are Kenyans. In fact, the Kamba nation are only 5% who are built there. The rest are the Kenyans who are living there. So it is not a matter of being in Ukambani, but everybody who had money.
Kenyans or other Kenyans?
Other Kenyans.
Okay.
Other Kenyans. Okay? So it is not a matter of saying that it's because it is in Ukambani, it is the Kamba people who are built there. No. It is other Kenyans. All Kenyans were there because they were all cheated. They all bought the land. So the people that should have been punished is those guys who are in now. The one who are now in sales, who are going to court every now and then. Because they are the one who made something like a society to be able to sell this land to people who didn't know whether they were being cheated or not. And their money was taken. So what I can say is that the compensation should be done, because there are so many parcels of land which have been left there, which were supposed to revert back to the government. Then the people that houses were destroyed should be given a piece of land so that they can be given free, even to build in one of the parcels of land, if only the parcels of land that was needed by the government is the one which has now been vacated by the demolition. Then the rest can be given to them so that people can just start their lives again, because these are Kenyans and they pray the God that we pray. And I'm sure something somewhere will happen. Even the leadership is a leadership that fears the Lord. They always pray every Sunday, and they will be touched and be able to compensate these Kenyans. So I rest my case.
Honorable Mulungi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to stand with the people of Mavoko during this difficult time. I consider them as NDPs now, because they have nowhere to go home. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the Honorable Mbui for calling for the leave of this House to discuss this very critical matter. Mr. Speaker, I sympathize and empathize with the people of Mavoko, because this is a matter that has come as a surprise from a government which they trusted, a government which assured them that it is going to build affordable houses for them. But instead of building affordable houses for them, they came to demolish their homes. It is the sixth wonder of the world, Mr. Speaker, for such kind of a government. And that's why this government is a cursed government, because they never say the truth. They spoke about lowering the cost of living. It is going up. They spoke about lowering fuel prices. They are going up. They spoke about lowering the cost of unga. It has been going up. That is why this government is cursed. And it will continue to be cursed if it continues doing this kind of heinous act. Those demolitions were worse than the massacre of Shakahola. Because how do you go and demolish a mosque? How do you go and demolish a church? How do you go and demolish a school when children are preparing to do exams? It is worse than Shakahola. So, Mr. Speaker, I consider these demolitions as purely orchestrated, planned, by Kenya Kwanza government. They had planned all this, and Mr. Speaker, the moment we just started speaking about succession politics in Azimio, the moment we started talking about Kalonzo being the heir of Azimio, now Kenya Kwanza decided to hit the homeland of Kalonzo Musyoka, and that is Machakos. I'm therefore telling Kenya Kwanza, don't be scared. Please, don't panic. We are not a threat. 2027 is coming. We shall be a threat in 2027. Why on earth? Why on earth do you go to Mavoko to demolish houses in Mavoko when at the same week the Deputy President of Kenya is protecting the people of Nyandarua who are living on Kenya Railways land? How on earth? Those are playing double standards. The same week the President of Kenya is in Rift Valley compensating sugar cartels. The same week the President is in Tana River. Mavoko people second and class. So, Mr. Speaker, this act is making title deeds look like a piece of paper. And it is very scary. Even some of us who live in houses, we don't know when government will come and demolish them. Because a title deed is now nothing. When you go and do a search, it is nothing. When you go and obtain a title deed from the Ministry of Lands, it is nothing. When you take your title deed to obtain a loan from the bank to build, it is a piece of paper. So how are Kenyans supposed to know that the title deed they are given is genuine? Because if you are given an alert, you will not proceed. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, I request
I'll give you 1 minute. We need to be done with this motion.
Mr. Speaker, I want to warn Kenya Kwanza members of parliament from Mukambani who planned a press statement and then dragged Kalonzo Musyoka into this land scandal. This is a land scandal by Kenya Kwanza. We know land grabbers in Kenya. If we are given the opportunity to name them and the tape on documents here, we shall bring them and then name them. So, Mr. Speaker, I support that Mavoko people should be compensated and the parliament should investigate this matter and come up with a solution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Nabi Napora.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to start by, first of all, associating myself with the views of majority of colleagues who ostensibly agree that, one, the issue of Mavoko is beyond being a regional issue. A Machakos issue is a national disaster. Mr. Speaker, I keep on asking myself two questions during my stay in this parliament. Question one, what did we mean by taking an oath to defend the Constitution? Because, Mr. Speaker, in the national values as enshrined in the Constitution, one of the values is human dignity. The question is, if you demolish a house, get people in the cold, including pregnant women and children, is that human dignity? Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I keep on asking myself a question. What is common good? Does what is common good in Kakamega, Lugari where I come from, become common good in Kiambu or in Machakos? Why am I asking this question? Mr. Speaker, for God's sake, all land that sits any government-owned institution is held in trust on behalf of the people of this country. So the question is basic. If the land in Miwani or the land in Nzoia Sugar, which we were in this house defending and saying we cannot allow it to be privatized, how different is it from the land of East African Portland Cement? Mr. Speaker, there was a law in this country, or there's a law in this country called public acquisition. That law has been used to get people out of their land for purposes of a particular cause. Now, when you want to understand the problem of Mavoko, look at it this way. That we demolish the houses today, and tomorrow we have an advert that we are selling those houses, and the people being given first priority are the people who are living on those houses. What do you mean, Mr. Speaker? Actually, the management of Portland Cement must be held to account on this. And when you want to understand that this was orchestrated by Kenya Kwanza government, they know very well they made those people poorer by demolishing their houses. So offer them, they will be unable to buy that land. Then the shenanigans of Kenya Kwanza government will go and buy that land. Mr. Speaker, today we were addressing a presser with Honorable Mukabe. When we were addressing a presser because surveyors from the Ministry of Land, working with Account Commissioner called Nyale in Wasingishu, were in Turbo Forest, which is in Lugari and the Kuyani, purporting to survey the land to give to people without public participation, without this parliament exercising the forest. That is what Mavoko is. Mr. Speaker, I'm requesting for an extra 2 minutes. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we must come to our senses. Why am I saying we need to come to our senses? There are actions we take that will have far-reaching socioeconomic impact. An economy that is not performing, a country that cannot meet
Mheshimiwa Spika, kunipa nafasi mimi pia niweze kukemea na kulaani ubomoaji wa majumba uliofanyika Mavoko. Ni jambo la kusikitisha, jambo la kuhuzunisha na jambo la kushangaza. Na mimi nimeomba kuzungumza tangu saa 8:30. Tangu hii ikiwa inakuja nimeweka. Lakini nakushukuru kwa sasa kunipatia nafasi. Na ni kwa sababu tunataka kukemea hili jambo lisifanyike tena sehemu nyingine. Ndio sababu tunakata ukaweka saa 7 tutakaa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hili ni jambo la kusikitisha. Watoto, akina mama, wazee wametoa machozi pale. Mtoto hajui amnyamazishe babake, baba hajui amnyamazishe mtoto, mama hajui afanye nini. Lakini nakuhakikishia Mheshimiwa Spika, wale wote waliohusika katika ubomoaji huo itawarudia. Iko siku na wao watalia kwa jambo hilo hilo. Na kama hawakulia wao, watalia familia yao, watalia vizazi wao, lakini watalia kwa sababu ni jambo la kinyama sana wamefanya. Taifa ni mahali ambako inalinda wananchi wake. Wanalinda wananchi wake. Mtu amekuja, amenunua ardhi, hakuna mtu amemuuliza. Amechimba msingi, hakuna mtu amemuuliza. Ameanza kuweka jiwe la kwanza, amekata vyumba, amemaliza paa, amevuta moto, amevuta maji. Hata wamezaana hapo hapo, wamekaa kwa miaka. Ndio mtu anakuja leo anasema hapa si kwako. Ni jambo la kusikitisha sana, kwa sababu wakati akichimba msingi ulikuwa wapi? Na wengi katika watu wale, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni mikopo wamechukua. Wengine wamelipwa pesa zao za uzeeni, wamelipwa, wamekwenda kujenga pale maisha yao. Unawamaliza hapo hapo, na hasa ukiangalia uchumi vile ulivyo mbaya. Wale watu, Mheshimiwa Spika, wamejenga pale, wamepewa stakabadhi na serikali za ugatuzi, county government ama municipal councils, wamepewa approval. Kuna halmashauri ya ujenzi NCA, National Construction Authority, wamewapa. Halmashauri ya mazingira NEMA, wamewapa approval. Sasa watu hapa hawajui stakabadhi gani katika taifa hili iko sawa. Mtu anakuwa na title, hata akikaa hana uhakika wa pale, atakuja kuambia hii ni feki. Atakaa halmashauri ile imempatia NEMA, wao wamehusika, wanakuja wanasema sisi hatujui, na waliwatembelea. Mheshimiwa Spika, hii ingekuwa funzo, kwa sababu serikali ilihusika. Wawekezaji, hakuna mtu atakuja kujenga hapa akijua halmashauri inakupa idhini na kesho inakugeukia. Haiwezekani. Sasa tu sheria iko wapi? Mimi nasema hawa watu walipwe. Na utakuta sisi kama serikali kuna kambi za wakimbizi. Tunaweka wakimbizi, tunaweka mahema, sisi tunawekea maji, tunawapelekea chakula, huku Wakenya mnawavunjia majumba na lala barabarani. Haiwezekani, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hili ni jambo lazima likemewe, lisitokee sehemu nyingine. Na ningeomba wizara ya hapa ya ardhi hapa iende itembelee hiyo, tuje tupitishe hapa walipwe na serikali, kwa sababu serikali ndio inahusika katika uvunjaji huo na ukosefu wa kumwelekeo kupeleka watu wake. Kwa haya mengi nasema asanteni. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa nafasi. Asante sana.
Fatuma Masito.
Basi asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kuweza kunipatia nafasi hii, na mimi niweze kupiga pondo au kuongezea katika hoja iliyoko mbele ya bunge hili. Kwa kweli Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi pia nataka kulia na watu wa Mavoko vile wanavyolia au vile walivyolia. Mheshimiwa Spika, watu wa Mavoko ni majirani zangu. Pale Kwale mimi nimepigiwa kura na jamii ya Wakamba wengi sana, ambao tangu juzi walikuwa wanaona wakisikitika, wakinipigia simu nikiwa nao kwenye mikutano, wanasema Mheshimiwa, ni mambo gani kama viongozi mnaangalia watu wa Mavoko wanauawa wakiona? Hii ni kwa maana kuwa watu wa Mavoko wamepokonywa haki yao ya maisha. Nina hakika kuna watu sasa hivi wameshikwa na maradhi ya presha, wameshikwa na michipuko ya maradhi ambayo hawakuwa nayo kwa sababu ya tendo lile lililotokea. Wakina mama wenzangu wameteseka na watoto kwenye baridi tangu juzi, na serikali bado haijafungua mdomo, imenyamaza. Hii ni dhahiri shahiri serikali imeshindwa kufanya kazi yake. Mheshimiwa Spika, huwezi kumuua binadamu ukiangalia. Umemshikia kisu, unamwambia unakufa leo saa hii. Mtu wa Mavoko, Mheshimiwa Spika, unafikiria siku ile alisikiaje? Yeye anajua ako na hati miliki ndani ya nyumba yake, ana mkopo, amewekeza, anajua maisha yake yote yako pale. Leo hii unamwambia wewe huna makao. Mheshimiwa Spika, serikali ya Kenya Kwanza imeshindwa. Na ndio maana saa nyingine natamani hii serikali tungechukua sisi watu wa Azimio chini ya Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga. Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga ni mtu mzima, ni mtu mwenye busara, kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Spika, huwezi kumwangalia mwananchi wako ambaye alikupigia kura juzi na hata ambaye hakukupigia kura, unamwangalia anakufa ukimwangalia. Poleni watu wa Mavoko kwa kitendo hichi, lakini na sisi watu wa Kwale tutasimama na nyinyi. Tutatia ubadi, tutatia uvumba, na sisi tuombe, tuseme kama kweli ile ni haki ilimtendekea mtu wa Mavoko, Mwenyezi Mungu simama na mtu wa Mavoko. Na pia mimi naomba bunge hili tutengeneze tume maalum, Mheshimiwa Spika, ya kuweza kuangalia swala lile la Mavoko, na tuweze kupitisha watu wa Mavoko, Mheshimiwa Spika, walipwe, tena walipwe vizuri, waweze kuishi maisha mazuri. Na nataka kujenga matumaini kwa watu wa Mavoko, msivunjike moyo. Kuna kesho yenu inakuja hapa hapa duniani na sio kesho akhera, kama ndugu zangu Waislamu wanavyosema malipo ni kesho akhera. Tunataka malipo yawe hapa hapa duniani, kila mtu aone. Mheshimiwa Spika, asante sana, na nasema poleni sana ndugu zetu wa Mavoko, tunalia na nyinyi usiku na mchana. Asante.
MP for Kibra.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this very emotive motion. Now, in the history of Kenya, we have not seen such an act. This government is led by rogue officers, a people who do not know the morals. In our own culture, where I come from, I am very reluctant to talk about land matters, because in our days, when you pass somebody's kill, I cannot translate that in English, but Mr. Speaker, maybe you can translate to them. When you pass somebody's kill, you cannot reach 1 week before you die.
Yeah, Kiau, if I were to help you, Honorable Rero, is a Latin word for border or land boundary.
That is it. I thought it was the same in Cumberland, because these people would have not lived by now. What they have done, the atrocities that they have inflicted, they do not deserve to exist. This government is supposed to lead people, but they are destroying the people they are leading. I am saying that we have in a government that does not care about the lives of the people. Mr. Speaker, please protect me. I am saying that this is a government. Last year,
Honorable Rero would be heard in silence, just the way the others were.
The former Prime Minister of United Kingdom, Mr. Boris, was taken to court because he celebrated during COVID-19. He was the Prime Minister. In this country, we are destroying people's homes. The Minister for Lands should have resigned by now. But if it was a mature democracy, the whole government should have resigned by now. We are saying that we cannot. There are many people now in Mavoko. This motion of adjournment today has brought both sides of the house. You could see even the Kenya Kwanza were actively participating, knowing that this is a serious matter, that this country, we must sort out this once and for all. The matters of land in this country, we have something called adverse possession. There are people who have lived there for more than 12 years. These court cases, like now again we have this Embakasi Ranch, they also want to remove Kirima cases, they want to remove people from their land, and we are setting bad examples with Mavoko. What are we going to do with the people who have used their whole earnings in this country? They have taken loans from the banks. I am asking that we form a parliamentary commission to inquire about the Mavoko land and other lands in this country. If we go on like this, Mr. Speaker, sir, we will not have people living on this land, and the land grabbers in this government will continue grabbing land by simply destroying other people's property. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that if we do not stop these rogue people in the government, we will not have a country in the next 1 year. I want to sympathize with my brothers from Mavoko. The only problem is that in Mavoko, it is a cosmopolitan.
It is where different tribes are living. Even from my village, we have people who are living there. Even from East Western, we have people living there. So this is a national issue. It is not really a Mavoko or a Eastern or Kamba issue. We must come together as Kenyans. We must agree that this kind of man-eat society kind of government, we must say that it must stop. We have people who believe that this country can only go on with them at the helm. We must say that this act that we have seen in Mavoko must never occur anywhere in this part of the country. We are ready to stay here even up to midnight to try and look at why this happens in this region. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance. I stand by saying
that use in Zambia will be the last to speak to this adjournment motion. I would request the members who have stayed up to this time to wait so that we can close the business we had under Order 12. Honorable Thaddeus.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Honorable Zambia. Honorable Omar Mwinyi, you wanted to speak to this adjournment motion. So then you will be the last to speak.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for granting me this noble opportunity to join my colleagues in sympathizing with the people of Mavoko. Honorable Speaker, what really happened was an heinous act. Honorable Speaker, at any one given time, it is always good to be sensitive to your people. I think, Honorable Speaker, as we speak now, what we should be first...
I want Honorable Zambia to be heard in complete silence, the way we've been doing. And let me congratulate the House. For the first time, we put politics aside. In as much as we have a bit of banter, we are proffering solutions to a matter of national importance. So proceed, Honorable Zambia.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
By the way, the more you consult loudly, the more his time gets extended. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and you protect me so that my time is not eaten up by those members who are just moving up and down and making some noise. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. What I want to say is that these are very sensitive and emotive matter, and as members of this House, the next course of action or whatever we should be asking for now is how safe are our children and those schools which are demolished. What is the situation? Because we understand in the next few days, our students, our candidates are starting their exams. As the government, I think they should take this opportunity to make sure they know and get into the welfare of our students and the candidates who are affected. Honorable Speaker, I think it has taken long. And this House, the 12th Parliament, there was a task force which was tasked into coming up with a report regarding the Portland and in Mavoko area. Honorable Speaker, I don't know how long it will take for these reports, which we have been spending taxpayers' money coming up with these serious reports. But when it comes to implementation, nothing is happening. Honorable Speaker, the land which has been affected, that land belongs to the Kamba community. Honorable Speaker, when mining is done in an area, the law is very clear that after the extraction or after the mining, the land should be taken back to the owners. Honorable Speaker, I take this serious time to condemn this government because we are talking about affordable housing. Honorable Speaker, it is very clear that those houses which were demolished, they are of high value. Honorable Speaker, we should be very sensitive
to our people. Because now, how can you talk of affordable housing and you continue demolishing very valuable houses meant for the Kenyans? We must be very sensitive to our people. Honorable Speaker, I am in the Lands Committee, and Honorable Speaker, I put the strong words possible that this government should compensate 100% to those who have been affected. Honorable Speaker, I want the member who is just crying over there to listen to this sensitive matter. Those people who have been denied, those members, I mean those people who have been affected, they are crying. We must stand with our people. The government should be ready to compensate our people.
Honorable Nzambia, because you've been interrupted, the Speaker on his own discretion under Standing Order number 1 and the Standing Order on House adjournment will give you 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for seeing this sensitive issue before this House.
Maybe I let the members know that the government includes you on both sides. You are in the first arm of government. Honorable Fatuma, there is nothing called opposition under our current constitutional arrangement. You are a member of parliament in the first arm of government. So you are in government. So nobody should feel so irritated when we say government has done this. It may be an agency, or it may be those of you who are speaking within the House here. Unless we are specific to an individual in government, there is no reason to worry. Continue, Honorable Nzambia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for being considerate. Honorable Speaker, what these people are not understanding, some honorable members think that this is not a Kamba affair. Those who have been affected are people across the country. It doesn't matter who was affected, comes from which region. The point here is, those people need to be compensated. Honorable Speaker, in our current budget, we have a lot of money for compensation of squatters. I'm in the Lands Committee, and we have put a lot of money for the for compensation of land squatters. What I'm trying to say is that the government should have first consulted. They could have given time and negotiate with these people. These are Kenyans. These are not foreigners. Even if they are foreigners, they need to be given time and to be heard. Honorable Speaker, it is the last time this House we stand with our people, with our Kenyan people. Actually, Honorable Speaker, the cost of living is very high. The cost of living is unbearable. And you tell me, you at this time of economic times, you can move and demolish houses for Kenyans. Let us be sensitive as a government. This is a matter which needs a lot of urgency. And as this House, we need to stand with our people. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, the issue of land is a bit sensitive. And I wonder, what is the cost of producing title deeds? Why don't people of Kenyans own title deeds of the land they occupy? Honorable Speaker, we've allocated enough money for digitalization of title deeds. And Honorable Speaker, I can report with a lot of honesty and sincerity that a lot has not been done. A lot of money has been put there, and nothing is coming out. Right now, Honorable Speaker, if you can get to know the billions of money which has been spent in this digitalization thing, I think it is the highest time as the members of this House, we have to do an investigation to know where this taxpayers' money is going. Honorable Speaker, and this is very sensitive, Honorable Speaker, Kenya Railways bought land from Portland. Where on earth can a government sell a land to a government institution? And as you are aware, probably most of you are not aware, this demolition was done to pave way for the Kenya Railways to pay the balance of 500 million.
And this being very sensitive, Honorable Speaker, there are people behind the push for the Kenya Railways to compensate or to pay the balance, that is to the Portland. And the Honorable Speaker, as you know, the word corruption is not being mentioned in this government. Honorable Speaker, we need to have a task force, and they should be led by the Lands Committee. I think it is the highest time the Lands Committee, headed by the chair, to get into the ground and get us the real a real report which can be discussed in this House, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I really thank you for adding me some few minutes so that we can deliberate on this sensitive.
The Honorable Omar Mwinyi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me time to weigh in on this sensitive matter. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this motion, first of all, by showing my solidarity with the people of Mavoko. I also want to support this motion by condemning the act that was done by the government. We are not talking about Kenya Kwanza government here, we are talking about the Kenya government. The action that the government has taken is actually barbaric, and it is no different from what the Israel government is doing to the Palestinians. I'm also joining my other colleagues in condemning the trivialization of this matter by any MP. Because we as MPs, Mr. Speaker, we are actually national leaders. We do not belong to this wing or the other wing. We are all national leaders. When it comes to such matters, Mr. Speaker, we are supposed to forget our parties and speak and stand to the occasion, to be counted that you are actually a national leader standing on the ideals of this country. Mr. Speaker, I also support this motion on condemning anybody who wants to settle a political score by harming innocent Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, the onus of settling people is actually on the government. Our successive governments have failed, Mr. Speaker, to arrange on how the people are going to be settled. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, you find when people see a piece of land lying idle anywhere, they start building. Wazee Nyumba Kumi, are actually elected. There was Yomta, the assistant chief. Then, of course, the DC is also aware, because he also takes part of the money when people are coming there. And then later on, you find the DCCs and the government leaders coming with bulldozers to bring down these shelters. This is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, and it should actually come to an end. Mr. Speaker, we have seen successive governments ignoring reports that are actually given about land grabbing, about malpractices, and nothing has actually been done about it, Mr. Speaker. There is no action. There is nobody who has been taken to court, nobody who has been jailed, Mr. Speaker. So it means all our governments have been supporting these malpractices. Mr. Speaker, we've been hearing about digitization of the land registry since 1980s. To date, Mr. Speaker, we still want to collect cash money because we want to steal the money. We are not interested in digitizing because we still want to do malpractice in land matters, Mr. Speaker. So if the government is the culprit, how then do you go and demolish people's homes? I call them homes, I don't call them houses, Mr. Speaker. Then you only do it after declaring it in a public rally that they are going to be demolished tomorrow, and then it happens. This is very unfortunate. Such things need a discussion, Mr. Speaker. A discussion where we ask ourselves, in this situation, what is the best way? And I believe, Mr. Speaker, the government has funds to compensate the owner. They would have done that to make sure at least these people's homes are saved. Mr. Speaker, we shall ask one question. Was the action taken by the government the best action at the time?
You'll have 2 minutes.
A better way or option than what actually was done? Was the action taken by the government a way of perhaps a vendetta? And if we saw, to who? Who was that vendetta directed to? And as it has been alluded here, Mr. Speaker, the people who are living there are Kenyans. Kenyans of all shades. So if it was vendetta, then vendetta against Kenyans? That is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to propose that we do not have just the land committee, but we have a select committee to look into this matter. Mr. Speaker, remember there is somebody called Braza, a notorious auctioneer who goes and takes, contraband and I would say, illegal court orders to demolish people's homes, like the ones which happened in Westlands. He also did the same in Changamwe, in Dungaunuse. And he is just left to go scot-free, Mr. Speaker. If such things can happen, and we just look at it as if nothing has happened, Mr. Speaker, then we are not a republic. We are a banana republic. And I would actually urge this House, Mr. Speaker, whenever we have such matters, let us forget our political divide. Let us be all Kenyans. Let us debate as Kenyans with this nation at heart. Because if the people of Mavoko are actually hurt, we should also feel that pain. We actually feel the pain of the people of Gaza, the way they have actually been affected. How about these people here of Mavoko? Supposing there are people coming from your area, would you feel actually happy? And I'm giving you an example, Mr. Speaker. There is an MP in Samburu who was blaming the government, and he belongs to this government because his people have been affected security-wise. So this is actually what we should all be feeling, Mr. Speaker. For that matter, the compensation matter should actually be a point that select committee should be recommending. And without much ado, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion that was brought about by Honorable Mbui, and he did not do so because he is somebody coming from that area, but he is a human being with a heart. And any human being with a heart has a feeling, and this feeling will be expressed in the manner that Mr. Mbui